The crisis of confidence rocking the Nigerian judiciary exacerbated further following the inconsistencies discovered in the certified truth copy CTC of the court's majority judgment in Kano state governorship election, which the chief registrar of the Court of Appeal, Mr. Mohammed Umar Bangari, has described as mere clerical errors. But the circulation of the controversial CTC Court of Appeal judgment affirming the election of Governor Abdul Kabir Yusuf as substantive winner of the March 18 governorship election in the state, contrary to the earlier judgment sacking him, heightened political tension in the ancient city of Kano. News of the contention documents sparked tension in the city, with the security forces moving in to quickly disperse youths who wanted to stage a protest against the appeal court judgment. New Nigeria People's Party Yusuf, which contested the ruling of the Kano Election Petition Tribunal and Court of Appeal, urged the National Judicial Council (NJC) to review the verdict. It alleged that the appeal court judgment was doctored in favor of the All Progressive Congress. However, APC said it expected the appeal court to provide explanations on the errors contained in the CTC of the Kano state governorship election judgments. Dr. Abati, your take on this matter.
Okay, well, let me start by referring to what the chief registrar of the Court of Appeal said. The chief registrar said this is just a mere clerical error. Well, in law, there's something that is called the slip rule. The slip rule simply means that, courts can make mistakes, and these are mistakes that are not of such fatal consequence that they can be corrected. And that is the sense that I think the registrar of the Court of Appeal, his name is Umar Bangari, was saying that it's just a mere clerical error, and under the rules of the Court of Appeal, under 23 Rule 4, that this will be corrected, that there are procedures for correcting this. But, the Chief Registrar of the Court of Appeal needs to be reminded that with what we have seen, this is not a mere clerical error in terms of the reaction. This is something that is so grave that it could result in, chaos. In Kano State now, the security agencies have had to call out the troops to maintain the peace. Because on one side, you have the NNPP supporters saying that, the Court of Appeal has found in their favor. You have the APC people also, claiming victory. And the responsibility of the state is to make sure that there is no, collapse of public order. So to that extent, it's a serious matter. Considering the fact that, politics is such an emotional thing for many Nigerians. And I think that what we should be talking about here is negligence, it's recklessness on the part of the judge, the lead judge, Justice Adumie. I mean, he could have taken time out to look at, what he wrote to avoid that contradiction. However, if you look at the sequencing of the arguments, of the submissions, and then the substantive conclusion in all the three rulings by the three justices, you will find that, yes, in this particular case, what they have done is to really uphold the ruling of the tribunal, setting aside, removing Governor Abba Yusuf from office. And I made the point yesterday. There's something again called community reading. When you read a judgment, when you read a legal document, you don't cherry pick. Because the NNPP is basing its argument on page 67, where the error showed up and the contradiction showed up. When you do community reading, you look at the sequence of argument, then of course you see that the appeal was actually dismissed. And then in any case, it's a three-person panel. The other two justices who sat on that panel, Justice Sanga and Justice Adebayo Ganiyu, they dismissed the appeal. So if you look at it, if you look at the rule of majority, it's 2-1, even if you want to hold on to the error in the lead judgment by Justice Adumie. So if you look at it holistically, I don't think that, the emotions, the crisis, the brewing crisis over that particular judgment, is necessary. However, the matter has now gone to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court, in this case, is a court of last resort. Some people may say, well, don't be harsh on Justice Adumain. After all, we have been told that judges are not infallible. They are human beings. They also make mistakes. But I think due diligence could have prevented this kind of situation. And in any case, if the judgment was, the lead judgment was read by the other two justices, Sanga and Ganiyu, maybe they too could have spotted that contradiction and it should have been corrected. And we won't have to be worrying about the CTC contradicting what was read in open court. But the Supreme Court has a responsibility, it's a court of public policy, to make sure that any law made, any ruling made, does not have hazardous consequences. And on the scale of justice, it's now the responsibility of the Supreme Court to look at equity, to look at the matters afresh, not afresh, to look at the details of the appeal that has now gone to the Supreme Court, and then take a decision in a manner that will promote harmony, peace, and good order within the environment, particularly in Kano State. Now I see a lot of people are lashing onto this to say, well, we've been saying it. The Nigerian judiciary is this, is that, is that. Well, I think the matter will be resolved. I've seen a copy of the notice of appeal filed by the NNPP, the party, with Awomolo SAN leading the team, Rabana SAN, Bayeshia SAN, Owonikuku SAN, and so on and so forth. And Mrs. Victoria Awomolo, part of the team, Ogunwomeju, SAN, part of the team. Okay, they have made their case. They have 10 grounds of appeal. Under these 10 grounds of appeal, they are saying that the Court of Appeal misdirected itself on points of law. They are saying that it lacked jurisdiction, that it raised issues that were not matters of cross appeal and that needed not to be raised so much by the Court of Appeal. They made big weather in first ground, second ground, ground 7 and 8 and 9 about the issue of membership, and argued that, look, the Court of Appeal had no business inquiring into the issue of membership. The membership of a political party and candidacy is not a matter under the purview of Section 1776 of the 1999 Constitution, but that is a matter to be determined by the party constitution. And having admitted at page 2 of the lead judgment that Abba Yusuf was a candidate of the NNPP in that election, you could not go down further and begin to raise questions about Registrar, about so the argument, the document provides all the particulars of error and their prayers. They want the court to allow the appeal and to declare Abba Yusuf the winner, and for the Supreme Court to make such other orders that it may consider, and that in any case, if there are further grounds of appeal, they will present them. So the matter now has gone to the Supreme Court, but what is more important is public peace. And what we just call for is diligence, better care on the part of our judges. I know they are overworked, they may be overworked, but this kind of error can potentially, beyond the slip rule, cause problems.
So one thing we'd like to call for this morning is calm in Kano. We saw those young Nigerians very passionate about the processes and democratic process. Troop out. It was back and forth with the police in Kano. We call for calm. We call for peace. Let the Supreme Court rule on this matter. But clerical error. Is it that we're having problems of competency in our court? Because this is the second time on the major judgment we're having the case of clerical error. We remember the case of a header of APC presidential campaign presidential litigation team on a court paper that came out of CTC. That was said, that the copy was first given to the APC and they put their head on it. The court came out, said it was a clerical error and it was a watermark. We started to understand the discrepancy between header and watermark. Now we have this. It was crystal clear. The first part of that last page talked about, ruling against the appeal. Then the second part talked about awarding money, even a sum of 1 million naira. That's more than a clerical error. That's why the NJC must look into it. Something definitely was amiss. We get the argument that the other parts of the case, if you read the full case, it was against the appeal. But mistakes like that are one too many. And you can see the effect of that mistake. I think what the judiciary should do is to do a thorough introspection. And that's why I like to call on Nigerians. Now that they've released the name of judges that will be sitting on the court, that will make decisions that will affect your life for the foreseeable future, it's best we make our input as regards that. It's best we ask questions. And we also ask questions from the authority. Because the problem with us as Nigerians, we don't ask enough questions. Look at Adamawa now. The same man, INEC official, Mr. Ari, that perpetrated an electoral coup in favor of the APC. Now we are hearing that he's moved on to Niger. And that's the kind of country we've built. So the judiciary must stand tall. The NNPP is calling for a review by the NJC. Let us see. The APC, too, is saying that they have not seen the CTC. But if my memory serves, there was a story here that says yesterday on Daily Trust, I was saying that they called somebody that wanted to be anonymous on the APC, and they said the court clerk, registrar told them it was a clerical error. But the APC, in their response, said they are yet to see the CTC themselves. But if you do community reading, you'll see that the judgment was against. We can't afford to make mistakes like this at a time where there are a lot of questions raised about our judiciary. We can't afford to make mistakes at a time where somebody on the bench, Justice Datiju, on his retirement, said a lot about judgments in this country. We can't afford to make mistakes at a time where nobody prompted this man, a serving senator, Senator Bukachua, at his outgoing day in the Senate, said himself, boasted that there are many lawmakers here that will help for judgments. And we all know the position his wife held in the court. Till today, we've not heard anything about that Bukachua's case. They just said, there was an investigation and nothing of such happened. Did we purge it even further? We can't afford to make mistakes at this time, because a lot of people are asking questions, and those questions are not getting answers. And let us say the truth, perception is reality. Once people have a certain perception, except you have an empirical fact that can supersede that perception, they run with that perception. The courts must sit up. And we must sit up, and we must allow the rule of law take its place in this country.